Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. The first game today, England playing Sri Lanka. England put into bat by the Sri Lankan captain. It's not been too good. That's all I'll say. Cut to Michael Vaughan's face now. See how he's feeling about that. Please. Are you trying to suppress a chuckle? Have you got the I told you so look on your face? Have you got the despairing look? What is it? What is it, Mr. Vaughan? Tell us.
Well, you never judge a pitch until both sides are bowled and batted. So England have got a number. I don't think it's a massive number. I think when you get to this stage, the Super 8s, you always you get through and then you can start to go again. It's not always that possible that the pressure doesn't go less. It suddenly starts to ramp up, and England have got too many players that aren't in great form. And Phil Salt looks the one player that's playing to his word, but the rest of them just look like they're out of touch at the minute.
Yeah, he was the lone ranger today, was Phil Salt. The rest, not so much. Phil Salt got 62, so, he's got a little less than half the score, but there really wasn't too much help from anyone else, Ajinkya.
Yeah, wicket like this, you need one batter to bat deep, which Phil Salt did, I thought, but the way he got out, 14th over, they were actually going pretty decent that point in time. And we thought they'll be able to score around 160, end of 20 overs. But again, apart from Phil Salt, other batters struggled. We spoke about Jos Buttler. He clearly looked, he was struggling.
I've never seen him like this. I have to say, I've never seen him like this.
And it's tough. This is a tough sport. Me and Michael, we were talking about this sport. This game of cricket can make you look really crazy. When you're not doing well, when you're out of form, it happens to the best of the best players. So again, it's understandable completely. He's out of form. Other batters were struggling. We spoke about sweep shot, uses of sweep shot on spin wickets. Hardly we have seen sweeps from the England
5
players.
Sweep shots in the entire.
I actually look at Buttler's dismissal, which was to the reverse sweep, and sometimes when one of your players gets out playing a certain shot early, it can send a little bit of a trigger to don't play that stroke. They played 5 sweep shots. England have been renowned for years of playing the sweeps and the tricks and the ramps.
Yeah.
I've not seen any of that. I've seen them trying to hit down the ground, which is a good option against spin, but when it's just grabbing in the surface and you've got bowlers that just kind of take it either way, actually hitting down the ground is the hardest option. Playing with a bat like this, just sweeping away, is usually an option that England would go to straight away. All their players, not just 1 or 2, all the players generally sweep. And to think that they've got 5, they scored 11 runs from those 5 deliveries, but they lost 1 dismissal, which was the key wicket of Jos Buttler.
150 not being reached is a bit of a psychological barrier, even on a pitch that you can say is perhaps slow, an outfield that you can say did not look lush green. That's the best compliment I can give it. Did not look lush green. But still, this is not that high a score. They'll know that. But Sri Lankan bowling. Let's talk about the Sri Lankan bowling. Because when you see the all-round effort, you can see when you take 9 wickets on that batting lineup, that is a very solid batting lineup. Yes, perhaps not too many players there that are in form, but they just kept chipping. It was a woodpecker effort today from the Sri Lankan bowling, as they just kept going at that big tree, and they've managed to fell it towards the end. We talk about the fact that this England batting lineup is really good, and we might say that they didn't get enough runs, they're looking out of form, bad shot selection. But let's not take any credit away from the Sri Lankan bowling, because they really got England with their backs to the wall.
Absolutely, they bowled really well. I felt the way Sri Lanka used their bowlers in the power play and also in the middle overs. It was amazing. Spinners, we know they have quality spinners, bowled really well. They know the conditions, Sri Lankan conditions well. I think the uses of the pace, how they used the pace. Bowling, Tikshana, we spoke about bowls quicker. Other bowlers, I thought they bowled with different pace, and I thought that was the difference. But talking from England's point of view, again, they got runs on the board. They know how the wicket is playing.
Okay.
They got quality spinners as well. Ajinkya Rahane is a wicket taker. He's brave. If he bowls well today, there'll be a challenge. Unless Sri Lanka do well in the first 6 overs, which I feel wicket like this is really important. Batting really well, batting slightly aggressive in first 6 overs. Put runs on the board like 50 or 60, then you are dominating the game. But let's not count England out of the game. 144 to chase, scores on runs on the board. And England, they have the bowling attack.
But Sri Lanka haven't beaten them in 11 games. There's a reason why that's happened, that England have been better than them.
Yeah.
And England will be throwing that at the Sri Lankan players, and the pressure of the crowd, the pressure of the World Cup. England aren't out of this. But they'll have to. I look at the power play. If Sri Lanka win the power play, they should win the game. But if England can win the power play, they're right back in the contest.
We'll get to the power play in just a second, but I want to talk about the Sri Lankan bowling a little more, because there's a young lad. Well, he's 23 now, but we've been seeing him play for the last 4-5 years. That's Dunith Wellalage. And when you look down that bowling analysis and you see he comes up, run a ball, right? You're going and run a ball, you bowl 11 dots, you pick up 3 wickets. And Michael said something very interesting in the comm box, Ajinkya, where he said he's not a wrist spinner. He's a left arm orthodox spinner, right? You think that in today's modern day cricket, there would not be that much challenge of that art form for the modern day batter. But he's just doing it again and again. So there's something that the boy does right up here.
You spoke about him just before the game, and he looks really strong mentally. He knows about his ability. He's really confident about his ability, and the way he bowled today was amazing. Keeps things really simple. Sometimes it's very important to keep it really simple. We think so much about the game. We want to do this, we want to do that, but I think cricket is a game where you can keep things simple, real simple. That's what is important. And he was really good in the field as well. He bowled well, 4 overs, 26, 3 wickets, but I thought he was really good in the field.
Yeah, I mean, you see Akshar Patel as well, right? Akshar does pretty much the same job for India, where he can bowl you in the power play. It just looks like he is, it's almost like, I don't know, it's like an oxymoron. He is oversmart. He's outsmarting the batter by actually keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Right? It seems like an oxymoron.
Look, there's a number of good left-arm spinners in the world. Maharaj, you've got Santner for obviously New Zealand. I just think if you're clever and you keep it simple, you've got a chance. And what he said today is to the England players: go and play a big shot. I'm not going to offer you any bad balls. I'm just going to keep it simple. Every now and again, I'll change my angle, change my pace. I like his slower ball. That one that he just goes a bit higher and slower. That's a tremendous delivery. But he's smart. He's probably thinking like a batter. He bats quite nicely as well. So I think it always adds, if you can bat nicely and you can get into the batter's mind when you're bowling, just finger spin. I think that's what he does better than most. He just kind of looks at the bat and goes, I know what you're thinking now, so I'll bowl the ball that's hardest to hit as you're thinking what you're thinking. Very clever man.
Outthink the batter. That's what
I'd want him in my quiz team.
You want? Yeah,
I'd want him in my quiz team. I think
on the
clever,
Tuesday night pub quiz.
Yeah, he'd win that. Yeah. He'd win a pint of lager.
And he's old enough to drink it. Till a little while ago, he probably wasn't. I also want to touch upon Sri Lanka's fielding, because besides the one lapse with that Harry Brook run out with the Mishara Hemanta confusion, otherwise, I think there was a lot of intensity in the field from all of them.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw today in the field, apart from that one thing, they were fantastic in the field. The energy, the attitude. We spoke about the outfield didn't look that great. But I thought overall they were safe in the outfield. But the catching, every single catch was, it's important to take all the catches. And I thought catching wise, they were brilliant today.
Yeah, I think this is an under-discussed aspect of Sri Lankan cricket, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I look at T20 cricket and all formats of the game, you've got to do the basics really well. You deliver your best balls, make the batters play the big shot. But if you can catch, I think it came up on the screen, I think they've caught 86%. Something like 25 out of the last 28 catches are stuck. And if you can get to that level of catching everything, you're going to win lots of games at cricket, or you're going to at least put the opposition under pressure. There's nothing worse than balls going down or fumbles in the field. And, that creates a bad vibe when you're out in the middle. But if you've got a safe pair of catching hands within everyone in the group, and you become that fielding side, if they'd have dropped 2 or 3 of those catches today, England will probably have got 165, 170. So it does make a sway of 25, 30 runs if you become a really good fielding team.
If you look at the speeds that the Sri Lankan spinners were offering up to England, and this is something that Adil Rashid, Dawson, Jax, Bethel perhaps will look at this particular analysis, Ajinkya. Yeah. He's studying it. I can see the good student is studying it, and he's saying, so the under 90 and the above 90. Yeah. And you can see there is, the wickets came for both, but over 90, the economy is much better. Tough to get away.
It's tough to get away when wicket like that, if you're not giving any chance to batter to step out. Now, 90 plus deliveries, it's very hard to step out and hit for the spinners.
Yeah.
Batsman, what he's looking for the momentum, he's looking for the rhythm. if spinners are not allowing him to step it down, it becomes really difficult to just stay inside the crease and whack the ball.
Yeah.
Unless the wicket is really good, you can hit it. But wicket like this in Sri Lanka, you need some momentum. When you're batting, you need to step out. You need to use your footwork. I thought Sri Lankans in that with the spinners were really clever.
But that's why the sweep's really important. Because when players start to sweep, guess what the spinner turns to? That Fulham straight one.
Yeah.
And when he goes for the Fulham straight one, then you can step it down the ground. That's why England not playing the sweeps. It's not necessarily about that sweep, but it's about what might come afterwards, because the bowler's thinking, oh, is he going to sweep me? I'll go for that Fuller straight one, try and get an LBW, and then you get the opportunity to step it out the ground. So, yeah, that's why, I mean, clever bowling, change the pace, nice, but it's the lack of sweeping for England that made it quite easy for them to bowl to them.
Yeah, just one thing. Probably as a batter, I feel you need to be brave. Probably even if bowler is bowling with good speed, just try and step it down, try and show that intent against a spinner that I'm here, I'm probably looking to step out. Then you'll see slightly changes in the length, and then you can sit back and play other shots. A wicket like this. So I feel sometimes you got to show that intent. You got to feel that I'm dominating you. You show the bowler that I'm dominating you. So
but I think trying to overthink the bowler also comes. You do it better when you're in form. So it's kind of almost like this vicious circle that keeps taking you down. You can't outthink the bowler, then the bowler gets on top of you, you get even lesser score. So it just becomes, I think that's what's happened to a lot of the England batters, right?
Yeah, I don't think many are in great form. And that's why I said at the start, when the pressure becomes even more so, which is at this stage of the World Cup, very rarely do you see suddenly players find form, because the pressure's even more, and you start thinking, oh God, you've got your foot, your movement, your balance. Then you've got to work out the situation. You've got to work out tactically what's happening within the game. There's a lot that goes on in a batter's mind. There's a lot that goes on in a bowler's mind, but there's a lot going. You can see Jos Buttler now. He's not in his stance, in particular, Jos.
Yeah.
And when he's in form, you can see he's relaxed and he's just watching the ball and he's just reacting. At the minute, he's not reacting because he's overthinking it, because that's what happens as a batter when you're just not quite in mind. You overcomplicate it, overthink it, and before you know it, that ball that should be looking like this big, it looks like a marble. At the minute, for Jos Buttler, the ball's probably coming down about this size. He's just not kind of in any kind of flow.
No, one point which he made, which I really liked, you spoke about Jos Buttler not in form. When as a batter you are not in form, he said, sometimes it's important to be unorthodox. Try and swing the bat. You're not in form, you're struggling. Just swing the bat. You never know. One or two boundaries here and there. Suddenly you are you find your rhythm, and then you are on the way to
Darren Lehman, when he came and played for Yorkshire in the late 90s. And I mean, he didn't get many low scores, but when he had one or two, he'd go out and just try and whack it. He'd just go out and just try and play all the shots, unorthodox. Dance down, play the drives, everything. And then all of a sudden he'd get to 20 and go, okay, I can play now. And I think Jos is in that predicament now that he's almost better off just go out and just play everything.
It's basically like if you're stuck in mud, you go into four-wheel drive and just rip it, right?
And you
just
get really,
hope the wheels
really
catch.
dirty.
Yeah.
It sprays you.
Just do that. You're either still stuck or you get out and you start speeding. So that's probably a good way to do it.
There's a fair point on England's batting lineup as well to make, that Harry Brook at 5 is too low. Will Jacks is playing great at 7, too low. It's almost if you want Brook at 4, you want probably Jacks at 5, you've got Sam Curran at 6. When you start looking at depth in T20 cricket, and Adil Rashid, it's actually wasted. You actually don't need... You need 8 players that can score runs in T20. If you're getting down to 9, 10 and 11 in T20 cricket, I'd suggest you've not done that well. You've probably not batted quite as well. If your top 8 do all your loading... so if England say, they've got all this depth, it's wasted down the bottom end. But Will Jacks in fine form, he probably needs to be batting at 5, and Harry Brook needs to be batting at 4.
Will Jacks has done really well opening and at 3 in the IPL as well, right? He's done well up there.
Yes, that's what we were talking about. Batting him at number 7, Brook at number 5. 5, 6, 7, that's the toughest position to bat, especially in this format. And when you lose 4, 5 wickets quickly, there's a confusion in batter's mind. Because what these batters practice, it's in the nets. It's just going out there and hitting the ball, each and every ball. And you suddenly see 4, 5 wickets down from 90 and then trying to rotate in the strike, it's difficult. If there's a confusion in this format, you don't want that. That's the last thing as a batter you want, the confusion in your head. So I think I completely agree with what Michael said.
I look at England's batting lineup, and obviously full salt, Jos Buttler when they're in form. As we speak, and I look at those two at the top, they can get you 100.
Yeah.
I look at the other players and I go, Harry Brook can get you 100 in 20 overs cricket.
Yeah.
At the minute, I don't see Jacob Bethel getting 100 at the minute. He will do in time because he'll probably open the batting in the future. I look at Will Jackson and think, he could get 100 in T20 cricket. I would just simplify those that you believe that can get you 100, there's your top 4.
Right.
There's
Great
your
point.
top 4.
Most deliveries.
There's your top 4, and then you work around that down the back, and you want cameo players from around 6, 7, 8 that can get you a 25 off 7. You know, those kind of players. But your top 4 have got to be players that can get you hundreds.
I think they've got the batting order perhaps a little upside down over there. We'll talk about that a lot more. It's a long time, the Super 8, so enough time to discuss that right now. England will do well to look 20 days back, where at the same venue they defended a 120-odd score and say, we can do this 146. We definitely can. Can they? Can they not? Well, we'll find out. Power play is what Michael and Ajinkya are saying that Sri Lanka will have to win. If they can win that, then they can definitely win this game. What would be your prediction for them in this power play?
You go first. You went last.
Done. I'm going at 45.
52.
52.
Yeah, I was going to go 53. I'm going to go 57.
50s. Wow. All right. He's really making them win the power play. Really is, without a doubt. All right. We'll come back and see you at the end of the 10th over on Cricbuzz Combox. So do join us. And remember, 6:20 p.m. is when we go live to build up to the India-South Africa game that's happening at Ahmedabad. That's the second game today on this Super 8 Sunday. So do join us then. Right now, it's all we have for you on Cricbuzz Live. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.